Welcome back to the Morning Mix, Cindy Sheehan.
Hi, Anthony. Thank you.
Now, we last spoke a couple of months ago, and you were finishing that cross-country bike ride, the Tour de Peace.
Right.
Give us a quick summary of how that went.
It was amazing. Tour de Peace was, I rode my bike from Vacaville, California to Washington, D.C. Started April 4th. That's the day my son was killed in Iraq 9 years ago. And we ended up in Washington, D.C. on July 3rd. And we stopped in dozens of communities along the way and had, spoke to people, talked about these issues, the empire, capitalism, local solutions to really global problems, and it was just really a very wonderful experience.
And you found receptive audiences in both red and blue states?
Oh, well, it was mostly in red states that we rode through. Most activism happens on either the left or right coast of the United States. Most left-wing activism happens there, and so this was a real way. This was a way of just really going slowly through the country, being visible. We had so many people in the red states approach us, and because we had a support van that had a bunch of posters and bumper stickers on it to talk to us about the issues that are really concerning them. And it was, we did get a really good reception. In fact, we didn't really get any negative feedback at all.
So what do you hope to accomplish by running for elective office, whether it be federal or state positions?
Well, I hope to accomplish the fact that we can talk about the issues that the main two parties are not talking about. And that was especially in my run against Nancy Pelosi in 2008. It was to talk about the wars, to talk about accountability for war crimes. And when you get up to that level, it seems like mostly the two candidates agree with each other on many of these issues. And they will just talk about, wedge issues like gay marriage or abortion and things like that, where they have slight disagreements. And so it's to bring up these issues. And my run for governor is not only to bring up the issues that are very important to us, but to really inspire people to take charge of their own lives and their own destinies and their own communities to work for true and relevant change. And I've been around the world, and I've seen where this works in other countries, where you can elect a leader that cares about the people, that cares about real change and positive action, and working together with the communities. It can happen because I see it happening.
Now, assuming Derry Brown runs for another term, highlight your differences with him, if you would.
Well, I'm pretty sure he's going to run. Like you said, he's already raising money. He's already raised $10 million or over $10 million. Some of his biggest contributors are the Corrections Corporation of America, Occidental Petroleum, and, of course, Cindy Sheehan's for governor campaign is going to be from small grassroots contributions and volunteers and things like that. I differ with him in so many respects. I think that I grew up in a California where education was very good from kindergarten through university. Universities were free for residents of the state, and now so much money is devoted to the prison industrial complex. Instead of reducing our prison community here in California, which has one of the highest in the country, Brown is talking about giving some of those prisoners to private prisons, and it's amazing that the Correction Corporation of America has donated so much money to his campaigns in the past, and now they're going to benefit from that. We have so many nonviolent offenders in our overcrowded prisons that it would not harm the safety of the state for them to be released. Instead, Brown is going to switch them over. So I would put more money into education. Universities should be free for residents of this state, the people who qualify, the people who want to go. There has to be there has to be jobs working in the peace industry, the renewable, sustainable energy industry, not in fracking, not in more oil drilling, not being, in the back pocket of these oil companies. California can lead the way in these renewable, sustainable forms of energy. We have to look at Fukushima, what's happening there right now, how it is compromising California, where there has been elevated levels of these radioactive byproducts in the seafood and our crops, our children, and life is being compromised because of that. The nuclear plants in California have to be decommissioned and shut down, and we have to use the sustainable, free, renewable, clean forms of energy that we have available to us, and we have to put more emphasis on that, on public transportation, and really getting off our addiction to fossil fuels here in California. It can be done. And these are just a few things that I differ with Governor Brown. I don't think the budget of California should be balanced off the backs of the people who are already vulnerable, as Brown has said. We need to increase the social safety net and decrease these giveaways to corporations.
Okay,
that's just a few things. That's just a few things that we need to do here.
Time is coming up on 8:42 in the morning. It's the KPFA Morning Mix. I'm Anthony Fest. I'm speaking with anti-war activist and now California gubernatorial candidate Cindy Sheehan. There's many more things I want to ask you about, but I'd also like to give our listeners a chance to join the conversation. 1-800-958-9008 is the number. 1-800-958-9008. Give us a call. While we're waiting for our first call, naturally the prison hunger strike is in the news, or ought to be on the front pages of all the papers.
Yes.
We spoke about it earlier today on the program. If you were governor now, how would you deal with it?
Well, we need to deal with it, first of all, by alleviating the conditions that led to it, and the shoes, I can't think of, what's that word?
Oh, security housing unit?
Yeah, solitary confinement and things like that. We have to alleviate the issues that lead them there, and we have to take a different approach to the police state here in California. I think that we can create safety in our communities by increasing, like I said, the social safety net, by increasing people's economic security, by making education free and available to people. I read that California spends $60,000 per prisoner per year, and we spend less than $9,000 per year on elementary students. Per student. So I think that I don't want to spend $60,000 per elementary student per year, but that shows how backwards our priorities are. If we emphasize education and jobs programs and jobs training over law enforcement, then we can start to reverse these things. And of course, this hunger strike is an immediate issue, and we should be looking at the conditions that led to it and ameliorating those conditions so the prisoners won't have to die to get basic human rights. To me, it's ridiculous.
If you were elected, tell me perhaps the first three things you'd want to do upon taking office.
Well, the governor, the executive of the state of California, really only has two jobs, and one is to create a budget, and one is to deliver a state of the state address to the state. And I think that a leader's job is to inspire people that there is a better way of doing things, and to get the people of California invested in making and creating a better life for their communities and their families. I witnessed it in Venezuela with President Hugo Chavez, where you know, he said when he was elected back in 1998 that the first priority that he has is to educate the people, because an educated populace is an engaged populace. And so I think one of the first things I would do would be to concentrate on education, on recreating California with the people that leads the nation in education. We are down near the bottom in almost all measurable standards, along with Mississippi and Alabama in education. And to me, that is a pathetic situation to find ourselves in. You know, in a state that has so much potential and so many resources. When I was in school here, I was born in Inglewood and raised in Los Angeles County. I went to schools that were looking now the way the schools are, and back then when I was in school here in California, how amazing. And this was under Jerry Brown's father, who wanted to make university education accessible to people. We need to look at Proposition 13 and the way that has harmed education and state services, and have a structured way of property taxes that put more emphasis on the corporations and the wealthy, and less emphasis on just homeowners trying to struggle to keep their homes. And there's so many things, but I just want to really inspire the people of California that they would have a government finally that listens to them, that listens to their concerns. And not only would Governor Cindy Sheehan listen to the people, I am the people. I've been struggling my whole life in this capitalist system we have to make ends meet, to survive, to have health care, education, for myself and my children. We shouldn't have to struggle so hard. These are human rights. They're not privileges for the 1%. They're human rights. And I think we have to convince the people of California that I am not just another politician that lies to get elected, that I mean what I say and I say what I mean, and I won't betray the people who support me.
Okay, let's hear what our callers have to say. Let's start with Brenda from San Francisco. You're on the Morning Mix, and you're listening to Cindy Sheehan.
Yes, good morning. And Cindy, thank you so much. I commend, and I'm just overwhelmed with everything you're saying. I support you, and I'm sorry to hear about your son. And this is an honor for him. His mother is carrying on, and you're truly an inspiration.
That's what I try and do, and I really appreciate your comment.
You really are, for every single woman on the planet who is suffering and has suffered for generations. And I hope that we can hear more female politicians out there speak like you, speak from the heart, because it really comes through the radio waves. And I have a comment or a question. Do you know anything about why the governor went to Germany just recently, to the concentration camps? And I'll take my answer off the air. Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda. First of all, the state of California has never had a female governor. And to me, that's a very weird statistic here, especially we're supposed to be so liberal and open-minded here. So I think that it is time for women to be involved in healing the state, healing the planet, and true women, women who do care about humanity, and also we've only had one governor that was a person of color, and that was a Hispanic governor back in the 1860s, I believe. So yes, it is time to reevaluate our paradigms here in the state, that we can work together and have healthy solutions. And I really don't know anything about Governor Brown's recent trip to Germany, so I can't comment on that right now.
Okay, we're ready for our next caller.
Sorry.
Is that Sue, is it, in San Francisco? John, my mistake. John in San Francisco. Thanks for joining us.
Hi there. Good to hear Cindy on KPFA this morning. And just been listening for the last, 15 or 20 minutes. But basically, one of the things that I've had a problem with the Democratic Party, I've been a Democrat all my life, is the ability to critically analyze what's actually going on in politics and what's been going on since before California even existed in politics, to a Hegelian dialectic structure, which is problem, reaction, solution, which is how all governments have ruled over their people for a long time, meaning they see a problem in the future, they know the reaction of the people in advance, and they come up with a solution before the problem even is in the minds of the people. And this is happening with absolutely everything. It is a structure that was created by international bankers a long time ago, and international bankers own your budgets in your cities through ICLEI, through the UN initiatives on environmental initiatives and everything else. They own the way that they're going to socially construct people. You could bring the Tavistock Institute, all these things that people just don't have any awareness of whatsoever on how they're being ruled in their minds, in their economics, and in their political structures, whether you're left or right.
Okay, Cindy, do you have a response to that?
Well, that is true. I mean, we're conditioned from the time we're born into what he was saying is to accept these harsh conditions placed upon us, that somehow if we don't, then we're not being patriotic, we're not being good Americans. And so, I think it goes back, like you said, a long ways back. But then, of course, we bring this marketing into the selling of wars and the selling of things that actually go against common sense and go against, our own health in our communities and in our families and in ourselves. So there's, and this is what I said earlier, I think the steepest hill that Cindy Sheehan for governor of California has to climb is convincing people that we are different. I think voters now, citizens now, are so cynical with politics that, they think that they're just going to go to the ballot box. They're going to, fill in the bubble for the member of their party just because that person is a member of their party, and that, the things that's just going to be politics as usual. People don't even have any hope anymore that their candidate is going to actually represent them and not the corporations and not the system and not capitalism. So I think that like I said, our biggest challenge is going to convince people that we're different from, the war party, the party of the corporations, the party of this conditioning, and that's the Democrats and Republicans. And another thing is California, along with the rest of the country, But California has the top 2 primary now, which is so anti-democratic. It favors Democrats and Republicans. We saw in 2012, we saw many districts where the top 2 were either 2 members of the Republican Party or 2 members of the Democratic Party. Never, ever a third party or independent. And that has to change also. A true representative democracy has many parties to choose from, many candidates to choose from, and then we wouldn't have to worry about, the lesser of 2 evils if we had this true representative democracy with proportional representation and things like that. And these aren't things that maybe these aren't things that we can change in 4 years if I'm governor, but these are things that we can start talking about. These are the processes that we can change and put on the table and put up for discussion, and really telling people that, yes, your life is like this today, but it doesn't have to be like this tomorrow.
Let's hear what Richard has to say. Richard's calling in from Oakland. Welcome to the Morning Mix.
I really appreciate, Cindy, that you go do so much work to try to educate people, because that's the biggest problem we have, really, is people don't understand what's going on. They buy into the major spin. But one of the things you said was about major duties of the governor. I think you need to look at one other area which is so crucially important in the criminal justice system and in civil society, which is the appointment of judges. So many of our judges are so conservative. Even Democrats are conservative to where it's very hard to get things changed. And the decisions that they make daily in courts and on the Supreme Court of California, which is very conservative right now, unlike the one we had when I first started practicing law back in the early 80s. We had one of the best oriented, consumer-oriented courts that ever existed in the United States, and got rid of them all. And Governor Brown was somewhat responsible for that, but that's for another day. But the point is, I think you should really look at that. And if you want some help with that, Anthony can let you know how to get a hold of me. I'd be glad to talk to you about that.
Okay. Thank you, Richard. Let's squeeze in one more call. Andrew is calling from L.A.
Hi, Cindy. It's an honor to speak with you, and thank you for running for office again.
Thank you, Andrew.
I'm wondering, do you think that it's important for our elected officials to listen to us more, and why? And how would you go about making this happen? Thank you very much.
I think that it is absolutely essential for elected officials to listen to the people that they're supposed to represent, not the people who can line their pockets with enormous campaign contributions. And that's also another issue. Money in politics and how that really affects, and that's who people like Governor Brown listen to. They don't listen to the people. And I'm making a commitment to visit every single county in this state at least one time. I'm going to ride my bike a lot. I'm committed to using alternative forms of energy and transportation besides the car, and have meetings with people, community councils, because the people in their communities are the ones that know what needs to be done to help their community, to help their families, and to help their situation be more healthy and positive. So those are the few of the things that I'll do. And as to Richard's call about the California Supreme Court and justices, I would welcome any help. If people want to send me any comments, any questions, my email is cindy@cindy2014.org. That's cindy@cindy2014.org.
Okay, Cindy Sheehan, thanks for joining me today on the Morning Mix.
Oh, thank you, Anthony. Appreciate it.